In today's video, we're going beyond beans, bullets, and bandages to identify some preps that you might want to consider or at least have on your radar. There are a lot of prepper supplies that you know you need and probably already have, but there are also some important items that you may not be considering. Important to note, these are items that you would want to have for a prolonged collapse, an apocalypse, a doomsday. I'm not going to cover anything that you might need to get you through a short-term power outage. So imagine for a moment now that it's a post-apocalyptic world and you need to go raiding this 12-unit apartment building to find some supplies because you failed to consider the items that I'm going to list here. I'll reveal what's behind each unit as we progress through this video. You can think of it almost like a virtual post-apocalyptic 12-day advent calendar. Now before we get to the list of 12, I want to talk about 5 items that people often talk about as forgotten items, but they've talked about them as being forgotten or overlooked items for so long that they're really not forgotten anymore. I call these common uncommons, if that makes sense. So these are what I consider to be the 5 most common uncommons. The first is sanitary napkins or menstrual pads. This has been discussed to death, and men talk about stocking them to stop the bleeding from a gunshot wound, something that's been widely debunked, I might add, by the medical community. As for you women, you probably already know that you need to stock pads. If you need any helpful advice on a post-apocalyptic period, consider the book Period Prepper. Yes, a book on prepping for a period exists. The second is board games or types of entertainment. This also has been discussed to death. That said, if you haven't considered it, you probably should for a prolonged collapse. You're not going to be able to rely on your game controller or your handheld device to entertain you. You're going to have to sit around a table with real people playing real games. Yes, you'll be busy in the apocalypse, but you can only clean your AR-15 so many times. Board games and other types of off-grid entertainment will be crucial to your mental health, and it's particularly important for entertaining kids. Incidentally, if you're curious about collapse or prepper board games, I have a link in the description that takes you to my website. I have an article on that. The third common uncommon is toilet paper. Now, years ago when prepping was still a fringe movement, people didn't really want to talk about it too much. TP was certainly overlooked, but if our experience with the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that TP, for some reason, is the first thing to go. Obviously, if it's doomsday, eventually the TP will run out, but there are workarounds with that. The fourth common uncommon is condoms. Say that 10 times fast. Condom uncommon condoms. Common uncommon condoms. Common uncommon condoms. Common uncommon condoms. STDs, birth control, filling them with water to throw at your buddies, whatever. They've been discussed 1,000 times. The last common uncommon is the can opener. If I had $1 for every time somebody said don't forget a can opener, I'd trade in all of those dollars for a stack of silver coins. We get it. We got a can opener. So here we are at the list of the 12 most uncommon prepper supplies that I think you need to stock, or at least consider stocking. So we're in that post-apocalyptic world and we're going raiding for supplies, making our way into Unit 1 where we find aluminum foil. Now there are many uses to aluminum foil. Aluminum foil can be used to make improvised pots, pans, grilling surfaces. You can wrap food in it and set it on hot coals to cook. You can also use it to make an improvised solar oven. In cold environments, you can use this for heat retention. Line the wall behind your heat source and it will reflect the heat towards you, and it can also reflect your own heat, much like an emergency blanket. You can use this for signaling as well. In a post-apocalyptic world where conventional communication systems are gone, this can be used for signaling during the daytime, or if you have a radio antenna, you can attach aluminum foil to your radio antenna and improve its reception. Of course, aluminum foil can also be used for EMP protection to build a Faraday cage. Now, there is more to building a Faraday cage than just aluminum foil, but this is a key component. Maybe that's a topic for a future video. Aluminum foil can also be used for fishing. Pull off small strips and attach them to your fishing hook, and reflecting the sun, it will attract a fish's attention. Starting with the good stuff, the heavy-duty stuff, and using it carefully, you can get many uses out of aluminum foil. And when it's finally lived its useful life, crumble it up and use it as a scrubbing device for your cooking grate, because you're going to be doing a lot of over-the-fire cooking after the apocalypse. And don't forget tinfoil hats. Bonus, what's the shelf life of aluminum foil? It's forever. Now inside unit number 2, we find multivitamins. Look, after the collapse, your dietary options are going to be very limited, and you're not going to be accustomed to having the wide array of foods available to you that you do now at your local grocery store. You can kill all the squirrels you want, but are you going to get the nutritional value that you need from squirrel meat alone? No. Enter the importance of the multivitamin. A weakened body due to the lack of essential nutrients is going to be more susceptible to illness. Multivitamins can boost your immune system and reduce the chances that you will get a disease that is associated with nutrient deficiency. Scurvy, anyone? It happens from a lack of vitamin C. It happened to the folks on the Mayflower. Energy and stamina, you're going to need a lot of both in the post-apocalyptic world. And multivitamins will help improve your body's ability to break food down into energy efficiently. Mental health and clarity, a lack of certain vitamins, the B group in particular, will affect your brain function and mood. Your mind is going to be your most valuable asset in the apocalypse. Keep it sharper than you do your knife. Be mindful that multivitamins typically have about a 2-year shelf life, at least that's what the manufacturers say. Rotate stock. Now inside unit number 3, we have quality socks. Just look at history to understand the importance of a nice, dry pair of socks. During the World Wars, a soldier's feet were his most valuable asset. Trench foot, a debilitating condition caused by prolonged exposure to damp, cold, and unsanitary conditions, afflicted many soldiers. Commanders knew the importance of dry socks, and there were instances where they were as valued as food rations or ammunition. Soldiers were often advised to carry an extra pair to ensure they could change into dry socks, reducing the risk of foot ailments. Socks can also help regulate foot temperature. In cold environments, obviously they're going to keep your feet warmer, and in very cold environments, they're going to help reduce the risk of frostbite. In warmer environments, wool socks in particular, or specialty blends, they can wick the sweat away from your feet, reducing the chance that you will incur blisters, which is going to be important if you're wandering the wasteland. There's also a mental comfort that comes with having a dry pair of socks. Ask any hiker, ask anyone that's been outside for prolonged periods of time in wet and damp conditions with cold, wet boots. Dry socks are gold. Socks are also more versatile than we give them credit for. They can be used as improvised gloves. You can stretch them over dirty water to use them as a pre-filter for cleaning and purifying your water. You can fill them with your silver coins to beat your enemies into submission. And they can also be used as sock puppets. Socks, by the way, are also a hot item in homeless shelters. You can buy extra socks, and assuming your feet are done growing, you just sock them away, first in, first out, and you are rotating sock. When I find a couple good pairs of socks that I really like, I buy multiple pairs, and then when the laundry gods claim one or two, then you can mix and match them. Eventually your socks will incur holes, and that leads us to unit number 4, where we are looking for sewing supplies. Is grandma going to be around well after the collapse to mend your clothes for you? Probably not. The ability to repair and prolong the life of your clothes is going to be a skill highly regarded and sought after. The age-old sewing kit is going to be an indispensable tool. Before the era of mass production, garments were cherished possessions. Families would hand down clothing from one generation to the next. It wasn't uncommon for a single dress or shirt to be altered and mended multiple times, serving different members of the family across years, even decades. The sewing kit was at the heart of such transformations and repairs. And a sewing kit will lead to economic efficiency in a post-apocalyptic world, allowing you to extend the life of the items you have, reducing your need to search, to raid, to barter. Now, the needle and thread have many uses beyond just repairing clothing. You can repair a tent, a backpack, and in emergency situations, as even Rambo did, you can stitch up a wound. Knowing how to use the needle and thread can also improve your skills at building a fishing net. Now, if you live long enough after the apocalypse, eventually fashion is going to come back, and it's going to be post-apocalyptic fashion. And then if you've got the skills to repair and create new types of clothing, you could be the next Versace, the next Gucci. In fact, this is already a thing today. See, for example, Nuclear Snail Studios, Cult of Chrome, Wasteland Warriors, and Molotov Mollies. All of these clothes are eventually going to get dirty, which leads us to unit number 5, clothes washing supplies. While clothes washing supplies might seem trivial when compared to food or shelter, history and common sense have shown us that clothes washing supplies are more than just a nod to cleanliness. They are a testament to health, morale, and social structure. From the banks of the Ganges River in India to the communal fountains of ancient Rome, public washing spaces were hubs of activity. Clean clothes will also reduce the risk of infections, skin rashes, and infestations of lice and fleas. Clean clothes is also a morale booster, and it helps your well-being. Even during the Great Depression, people took great pride in their clothes and making sure that they were clean and presentable. Think of it in terms of normalcy and dignity in times of chaos. You don't need to limit yourself to a washboard either. There are many modern off-grid clothes washing products out there. Of course, to wash all of those clothes, you're going to need bars of soap. Having clean clothes and a body after the apocalypse is going to make you more presentable to the extent that you care about that, but it will also make you less susceptible to disease. History is replete with examples of how poor hygiene and sanitation have led to catastrophic epidemics. The bubonic plague of the Middle Ages, cholera outbreaks in the 19th century, and numerous other health crises were exacerbated by unsanitary conditions. Soap, with its ability to effectively remove dirt, bacteria, and viruses, becomes a frontline defense against the spread of diseases. Regularly using soap is going to reduce the odds that you'll get rashes, skin infection, and fungal problems. In a post-apocalyptic world where medical care is hard to come by, prevention is going to be much better than seeking out a cure. It's going to help you mind a lot when you can have a clean face and armpit and crotch. I like storing bar soap over liquid soap because it's more compact, it's more lightweight, there's less risk of spillage, and it's easy to transport. Most of your name brand commercial soaps are said to have a 2 to 3 year shelf life. More natural soaps are going to have a shorter shelf life. Now let's move into the next unit to scavenge topographical maps. Today it seems our every move is guided by a GPS, whether it's on our phone or in our cars or just Google Maps. It seems like map reading is becoming a lost skill. But in a post-apocalyptic world, when you can't just pull up your phone or call for directions, having topographical maps to navigate the landscape, to avoid danger, to find resources, these are going to be indispensable. Before the rise of digital navigation, explorers, soldiers, and pioneers relied on topographical maps. They were the silent allies of resistance fighters navigating through unfamiliar terrains during wartime, aiding them in ambushes and stealthy escapes. Knowing the lay of the land is crucial for identifying defensible positions, understanding water flow and sources, and finding suitable areas for shelter or cultivation. This is as important in the woods and rural areas as it is in the cities, and having maps will help you identify landmarks such as libraries where you're going to be able to find field guides and other books. We've become accustomed to going on Google or YouTube or asking Siri or Alexa the answers to questions, how to do things. After the apocalypse, being able to access information is going to be more crucial than it has been ever before. You're going to have to rely on books for that. Field guides on knowing how to identify herbs and forage food. Detailed manuals on farming, engineering, how to repair tools, those will be very valuable. I think medical guides will be particularly valuable, and a few that I would recommend that I've recommended many times before, and you'll hear me recommend them again. Where there is no dentist and where there is no doctor, these should absolutely be in your post-apocalyptic library. One uncommon book that I often recommend that I don't find many other people doing is getting the physician's desk reference to Pocket Guide to Prescription Drugs. You can get last year's copy used on Amazon really cheap, and it's a great reference. So if you ever need to know how to treat a particular ailment or what a drug that you come across is used for, this will be it. Physical books are, of course, EMP proof as well, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my other website, prepperpress.com, where you can go and find many prepper-oriented books that I've published. You should also have some books on gardening and how to deal with garden pests. You want to be able to preserve those heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are not just little kernels of future cucumbers, but they are the building blocks by which society can be rebuilt. Unlike many modern commercial seeds that are bred for uniformity, heirloom seeds represent a wide range of genetic diversity. This diversity equates to resilience, allowing crops to better withstand varying soil types, climatic conditions, and potential pests or diseases. Heirloom seeds are open pollinated as well, so the plants that you grow from heirloom seeds, you can use those seeds to plant the next year. And if you've ever had heirloom vegetables out of the garden, you know the superior flavor that these vegetables have over their commercial counterparts. Again, using history as an example, here's a can of Survival Garden vacuum packaged seeds from the Cold War era, still sealed, designed to come out of your nuclear fallout shelter with these and start planting your garden. Next up is a product that I admittedly am lacking: chlorine tablets. Chlorine tablets, often associated with swimming pool maintenance, can be used to create bleach, and that's the reason you want to store these. One of the most immediate and pressing concerns in any crisis scenario is access to clean, potable water. Chlorine tablets can purify water, making it safe to drink by killing harmful bacteria and viruses. Now, the reason you want to stock chlorine tablets instead of bottles of bleach is that their shelf life is significantly longer, they're more compact, and they are less prone to spillage. Bleach, of course, is a great disinfectant. You can use it for cleaning, mildew control, etc. Now, as you progress in this post-apocalyptic apartment building, you begin to hear voices in the unit next door. Raiders. You need to take them out quietly. Did you stock silent hunting tools? Shh. After the apocalypse, being able to hunt quietly is going to be very important, both for getting prey and also for not attracting unwanted attention. A lot of hunters are going to use rifles and shotguns and even pistols trying to secure food, and the animals are going to figure out the noise quite quickly. You want to be quiet.
Firearms also rely on ammunition, and a lot of ammunition will get spent either defending you and your family or trying to get food. Having silent hunting weapons will help you conserve that ammo. A few examples.
Bows and arrows. Time tested across civilization, the bow and arrow is an efficient hunting tool. With practice, it offers accuracy and is reusable. Different arrow tips can be crafted for various prey from fish to large game. A bit more mechanical than bows, crossbows provide a balance of power and precision. They are easier to learn for those unaccustomed to traditional archery but might require more maintenance.
Slingshots would be another example. You can just pick up rocks to use as ammo.
Blowguns, used by indigenous tribes for centuries, can be employed to hunt small game silently. Traps, like these conibear traps, would be another example of silent hunting tools. They don't cost very much, but they do require a little practice, and if you're going to do that, make sure you follow your local laws. The thing I particularly like about these is that it's more passive hunting. You set your trap and check your trap. There's no trampsing the woods every single day, burning precious calories hunting food. But a bow and arrow is my favorite silent hunting tool to use. It takes practice, it's fun, it's something that you don't need a shooting range for. You can do it right in your backyard. Last but not least, spears. A basic but effective tool for hunting, especially when used in tandem with stealth and tracking skills. They can be thrown or used in close combat. Last but certainly not least, inside unit number 12, we have spices. After the cans of Spam have run out and you're forced to eat whatever it is you can raise or scavenge, that's when you realize the importance of spices. If you have any doubt on the value of spices when they're otherwise not readily available at the grocery store, just read up on the history of the spice trade. Spices are like flakes of culinary gold. Many spices have also been used for centuries for their medicinal properties. Turmeric, for example, has anti-inflammatory benefits. Cinnamon can be beneficial for blood sugar regulation. Ginger aids digestion and combats nausea. Before the advent of modern refrigeration, spices were also used for food preservation. Stocking a lot of salt is going to be particularly important. It's cheap, it's readily available, it's going to be very valuable after apocalypse, and it has an endless shelf life. That's my list of the most uncommon prepper supplies I think people should stock. Let me know what you think in the comments section on what I may have missed. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing that. I'll see you at the post-apocalyptic rendezvous point.